Councilmember Williams.
From Saginaw, Michigan.
Yeah, remember to state the city and state that you're in.
Thank you.
Councilmember Balls. Councilmember Bench.
Present in Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Ostash.
Present, Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Scherzer.
Present, Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Copeland.
Present, Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Lamar Sylvia.
Present in Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Flores.
Present, Saginaw, Michigan.
And Councilmember Balls, are you with us? Oh, and Mayor Moore.
Present, Saginaw, Michigan.
We have 8 members present, 1 absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any announcements, ma'am?
No, Mayor, I do not have any announcements this evening. That would take us next to public input.
Remember, speakers, you have 3 minutes and you're being timed. Please get all of your points in the 3 minutes. Madam Clerk, we can proceed.
Thank you, Mayor. I did have to get my timer. Sorry for that.
No, you're fine. Fine.
Our first speaker is Alyssa Utega Medina.
Hi, hello, my name is Elisa Urtiaga Medina. I'm a Saginaw resident and community organizer and currently working as a public health navigator for Michigan United. My reason for being with you all here today is to inform you about the work I'm doing regarding COVID-19 awareness presentation that is free to everyone. I am hoping to garner interest in having me give this free presentation for all of you here, including City Council members, any other local institutions, churches, community groups, as well as individuals to know more facts around the virus and ways that we as self-informed community members can create a greater impact on flattening our curve. We are concerned with the current spike, and we want to make sure that the community is informed with the facts about the virus. Once again, this is a completely free service paid for by the state of Michigan. We are doing our presentations virtually through Zoom, Google Meet, and other platforms. Our presentation is about an hour long, and I can talk to folks over the phone or text message and have anywhere from a 5-minute conversation to a longer presentation. I know our Saginaw Health Department has been doing an excellent job via their office and their Facebook page, but it is all too common that folks contact the health department only when they now need to get tested or may have to find information after having been in a situation where they're already put at risk. As an organizer and community leader of the Health and Social Justice Task Force at the Ezekiel Project, I have had more access to talking to folks in small businesses and their places of worship and their community groups. I've talked to young and older folks alike, for example, troop leaders for our local Girl Scouts, our monthly community Ezekiel Project meetings, and our religious leaders caucus, as well as several small business owners and their employees. I have more time to personalize folks' connection with the information. We talk about many things, including information such as properly wearing and caring for your mask, making clear the difference between isolation and self-quarantining, and knowing which testing sites are open and what folks need to be prepared for in getting tested. Please be sure to let folks know and give out my email and phone number to those who may be interested. The only requirements for this presentation is their email, zip code, phone number, age, and demographic information. This is reported to the state so that we can keep our state funding. I also offer this presentation in Spanish. Community navigators have been talking to and hope to reach over 10 to 20 individuals a week. Thank you for taking time to listen to my statement and what I have to offer, and hopefully you may be a participant in navigating the necessary data concerning COVID-19 soon. Any questions or comments, please contact me, Elisa Urtiaga Medina, My number is 989-341-3258, or email me at urtiaga.elisa@gmail.com.
Mayor, our next speaker is Kervin Merrill.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
This is Pastor Kervin Merrill. Greetings, Mayor and other council members. I called in to encourage us to empower our youth with some type of youth employment. You guys may already be working on it, but if not, I just wanted to let you know that our youth are struggling real bad, and this would be a good way to empower them by providing some type of jobs for them this summer. My other thing to empower the youth, I would ask that the council for African American History Month, if they could recall all of the African American council members, mayor, pro tem, whatever, who have been on Saginaw City Council, and put on a web page somewhere where our youth can view them, that also will empower them to know that they are somebody and a something, because we are really struggling in the African American community, and they need positive visionaries where they can pave themselves after. And I think it'd be a good idea for African American History Month to list all of the African Americans who have been on Saginaw City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And with that, Mayor, your next order of business is the remarks of council.
Council, remember you only have 3 minutes to speak. Please get all of your thoughts in 3 minutes. And we begin tonight. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk.
Yes, I believe you want to start with Councilmember Flores.
Right, I thought you had to say it. I'm sorry. We'll
That's
start
okay.
with Councilman Flores. Councilman Flores, you have the floor.
All right, I'm unmuted. All right, thank you, Mayor. First, I do want to talk about our COVID response. November seems to be the worst month that Saginaw has been going through. It's in the city and in the county. Our test positivity rate has gone up from 16.5% to 18.1%. But at the same time, our testing is going up. So we do recognize that when more people get tested, the more that the positivity rate is going to go up. But that's a good thing, because we want to make sure that we're staying vigilant. I know a lot of people had sacrificed their Thanksgiving and not spent time with family when they usually should. And there was a Saginaw County Health Department, it was kind of like a podcast where Dr. Pruitt had said that there was the quietness of the moment when it comes to Thanksgiving. That's an important thing that we need to recognize, because we just want to have one Thanksgiving where there's quietness and not many. So let's keep this up. Let's continue to wear our masks. I've gone out in the public and I've seen a lot of people wearing their masks. That's a great thing. And then also there is a good charity that's going on right now with the Deco Project and with LEAD. It's for first responders and healthcare workers. It's enticing businesses, but also individual people to donate. And so I will put this up on my own Facebook page, but also it's on their Facebook pages as well. And so when it comes to individual donations, there's a $10 minimum. I will personally match the first 10 people that make a $10 donation in the next couple days. And so just if you do a Cash App or if you do a Venmo, I will welcome a $10 donation with a $10 from my own pocket. I think it's important that we are, championing the first responders that we have in our community that are doing so much hard work. One of the last things I want to talk about is that I was very excited to report to the city that we did not have a homicide in the last 2 weeks, but this morning we did have one again with a 29-year-old woman that died in her driveway. So this is something that we continue to struggle with as a city. 10 years ago, on December 2nd, my friend Sean Stennett died. He was a great person with a loving family and a good group of friends. and he was a heroic person that put himself in front of assailants and his friends, and he perished for no reason whatsoever other than an unknown identity. And so gun violence is something that we continue to deal with as a city. I know it's a national thing that's going on due to the pandemic, but as a city, we need to recognize that we can do better. And then that's all I have to say.
Mayor Moore, you have to unmute.
Sorry, I was hearing feedback. I'm going by the screen, y'all. So if I get you out of order, I'm going how you are across my screen. Next, we'll have Councilwoman Bench.
Good evening, everyone. To our public speakers, thank you for being here tonight. Mr. Merrill, I think that's a lovely idea for us to recognize all of the African-American members of council that we've had serving currently and in the past. I don't know if we've done that in the time that I've been on council, or at least not through the city website. And I know we've updated the city website and are making changes all the time to that. So that is a very nice idea to consider for Black History Month. Ms. Uritiaga Medina, thank you for being here. You were providing a wonderful and a very essential service to the community, and I hope you can come back and give us some sort of presentation. And I definitely will be in touch with you, or at least sending people your way to take you up on that offer to utilize those resources, because you know, we know that vaccines are coming out, but obviously things are not happening fast enough for us to, you know, have an impact on the numbers we're seeing now. So having to stay home and stay safe. And I'm seeing businesses that are not being mandated to close, but are being closed because people are sick. And it's taking a toll. It's taking a toll on everybody, whether it's financially or health-wise or mental health-wise. And it definitely is having an impact on the many challenges that we face in the city when it comes to crime, when it comes to our financial situation. We're looking at the federal level. They're talking about passing a stopgap measure so we don't have a government shutdown, which is good for us. But at the same time, too, we need our federal legislators to get it together and pass some sort of relief for people here at home, because people are struggling. The individuals, you know, citizens in Saginaw who didn't recover from the economic collapse and the housing bubble burst are still grappling with all of those things, and all of those things come into play when it comes to violent crime, and the level of, you know, hopelessness and despair, I think, is at an all-time high for a lot of people. So please continue to stay safe and stay at home and stay masked up, and just bless everyone during the holidays. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bench. We now have Mr. Councilman Ostash.
Thanks, Mayor. I want to thank our speakers for coming tonight. Elisa, that was looking forward to that as well. I'm going to reiterate what Councilwoman Bench was just saying. And also, I know I was reading an Entrepreneur magazine. There's also some new, besides the vaccines, there's also a pill it looks like that they're working on. So there's a lot of things that are coming out of this pandemic as we move through it. So thank you. And also to Mr. Merrill for coming out and speaking. I agree with Bench, Councilwoman Bench. This is something that would be nice for us to do. And also I want to thank Dawn of a New Day, because they kind of stepped in this year for Thanksgiving. And I saw that, you know, Dawn and her daughter Lindsay and her husband Bob, and I even saw Jamie Forbes was out there this year. They were delivering drive-up Thanksgiving meal boxes that you could take. So thanks for them for stepping in and doing that for our residents. And now just, I know right now everybody's been kind of getting ready for the holiday season. We're getting ready for Christmas, and the water tower is decorated and City Hall is decorated. So I'm going to share a little story about that this year again that I shared last year. So Russell Lee was the person that started this for the city of Saginaw. He initiated this for over 3 decades while he worked for the city. He retired from Saginaw, and he worked as a service manager. But Russell's father was also Henry Lee, and he was actually the mayor of Saginaw. from 1904 to 1906. And then Russell's father's name was Charles Lee. And Charles Lee had built a lumber mill on the city's river, and it was at 633 Washington Avenue, right across from 7-Eleven, which the mansion that now stands there, kind of AKA, they called it the Cat Lady House, is nearing its restoration. And I've heard they're even now starting to look for some tenants to take up some of that space. Once COVID's over, we get through this, it's going to be also a public space for people to hang out. So there's a little history of Saginaw's lighting ceremony that actually ties into the Charles Lee Mansion. Mayor, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Mr. Copeland.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being on. Our speakers, I enjoyed the presentations, and I only have a couple of things tonight. I want to bring up what our state representative, Vanessa Guerra, she hosted a Facebook Live today regarding the eviction diversion program tonight with the Michigan State Housing Authority and our Saginaw United Way. This program was created with federal CARES funding to keep renters in their homes. They still have funds available. So if you know of anyone who's having challenges with their rent, please contact the Saginaw United Way. They still have funds available. You can complete this application online, or you can call by phone. If you have any questions at all, you can reach them at 989-272-1821. We want to make sure it's a cold season, it's a holiday season. If we can do anything to keep people in their homes, I want to do whatever I can to share that information. Also, First Ward is offering and providing a utility assistance program for consumers and water. There are water bills. You can find the application on their Facebook page. If you can, email that application. They are only going by appointments only. So you will be able to schedule an appointment with them. Find that application on Facebook. I'm going to be sharing this information on my Facebook page, as well as this Saturday, First Ward, who will also be partnering with the Cathedral District, they will be hosting a drive-through Christmas party. At this drive-through Christmas party, it's going to be from 1:30 to 3 p.m. They will have free gifts for children up to the age of 12 years old, as well as they will be giving away hats, gloves, and scarves, and most of all, Santa will be there. So if you are watching and you want something to do, First Ward will be hosting a drive-through Christmas party. But before I end, I want to say personally thank you to every essential worker. I have a relative who is in the hospital who recently went through a procedure, and they've been going back and forth, and it's been very trying on my family. But I want to say thank you to every essential worker that has been, who, you know, we've only recently endured this, but you've been going through this since the beginning of the school year. I just want to say thank you to everyone who is endeavoring to protect our city, continue to mask up, and we're going to get through this together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Miss Silvers. Miss Lamar Silvers. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to say I appreciate our speakers that we had for this evening. And I guess I would also say, in regards to Pastor Merrill, such a great idea, and possibly that maybe the Saginaw News will also pick that up and show our youth the former African American city council members for African American History Month. Also, I'd like to give condolences to the young lady, Miss Williams, that lost her life this morning. I'd like to send condolences out to her family. I got some information today. Wasn't able to really get into the information, except it was conversation in regards to the Saginaw County Jail and some inmates that they said did test positive. I'm imploring them to reconsider not letting some of the inmates out for nonviolent crimes. With whatever consideration they need to give that. I think I would implore them to just relook at that again. A lot of people, agencies across the country and world had to do a lot of things different because of COVID. And I'm asking that the Saginaw County Jail would reconsider their stand on not letting people out early because of the COVID. Um, Also, kudos to our Saginaw Police Department on the information they shared with us. They're doing a fantastic job. And I guess we all can't say enough to cover up, use your mask, and please excuse me for not recognizing the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you very much, and you all have a great holiday.
Thank you, Ms. Selvers. Next, we have Councilman Williams.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to say thank you to our public speakers. Appreciate you all coming. I would say coming out, but getting online and talking to us. This evening, I'll keep it real short, but I want to be very specific. I would like to see our community organizations, our youth organizations, step up to the plate when it comes down to providing more awareness and getting out and being vocal against the shootings and the homicides that are taking place within our city. We've done things this year in 2020 that have been historical as far as advocacy and getting out and marching and making the public aware of things that have been going on outside of the city of Saginaw. But when our city is struck with this violence, we are sitting quiet. The only people that are speaking up that I've heard so far, City Council. We have the opportunity to speak, we say something. But we need our community organizations and our youth that have been out there marching to step up to the plate and talk and speak out and fight against the violence that's taking place within our city. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Next, we have, and I know she's on here, Audit, Councilwoman Sherry.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Mayor. I apologize. I'm not really sure. I had video when I logged on and it won't come back. So I first want to say thank you to our citizens and for our speakers tonight. We appreciate all of you coming and sharing your information and your concerns. I just want to make note and thank you to our city. I noticed our city residents or individuals that come into the city are dumping even more. And I want to thank the city for what they have done and the efforts they're doing to pick it up. I noticed the lot right across from Riverview Plaza had mattresses and tires and just junk. And it was really disheartening and sad to see. So within a few days, it was gone. But I just want to stress to the residents, this is your city too. So please step up and make sure that we're taking the necessary steps and doing the things to make it better. Because if we don't, we should just be ashamed of ourselves. And even if you're somewhere and you see something and you can throw it away, just one little step to pick up a piece of trash helps out your city. So thank you to the city staff again for stepping up and for helping to take care of the city. And for anyone else that's out there doing your job and your part to make sure that the city stays beautiful and thrives, I appreciate you. Last, I'm going to keep it short tonight. I just want to say I read and saw that the cases went up. So Mr. Flores shared that, Councilman Flores shared that as well. Please wear your mask. Not everybody followed the guidelines and the restrictions over the holiday, and our numbers are just going to keep skyrocketing. So please be safe and wear your mask. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mayor Pro Tem Balls.
Good evening, citizens, fellow council people, city manager and staff. Good evening. I'm looking forward to the comments from the city manager's office about what's going on in the city of Saginaw, the Saginaw Future. It seems the future don't seem too bright with everything going on, but I'm sure they're going to say something to make Saginaw look bright. And I'm looking forward to hearing those comments. I too feel the same way Councilman Williams feel about the shootings in the city of Saginaw. I had the opportunity to talk to some young people, man, and a lot of them, they do not want to speak out against the violence. this code of ethics that they have about not telling on people is terrible, because the same people that do crime to one person end up doing it to another person. It goes on and on and on. You know, and it's terrible. So I think that we do need to reach out to our youth to tell them that we can tell their friends or associates or maybe family members that they need to cut this violence out in the city of Saginaw. It's making us all look bad. You know, it's not good when you go online and see stuff that's saying that Saginaw is one of the worst cities in the state of Michigan for violent crimes and stuff like that. It's just terrible. You know, we have a lot more to offer in the city of Saginaw, and that's what I want to see shine. And I think a lot of this got to do with some issues that we all can help out with. You know, and that's mentorship. You know, by myself being a mentor for over 30-something years, neither one of my mentees have gotten in any major trouble. Only one got cuffed up by the police, gave him a little wedgie, and he's been cool ever since. But other than that, none of the other kids have gotten in any trouble. You know, we have a lot of fatherless homes here in the city of Saginaw. You know, we all can do something about that by mentoring our youth. You know, it does work. You know, association definitely brings about assimilation. You know, just like when the kids are doing crime and stuff like that, it's obvious they associate with people that's doing that, and that's why it happens so much. You know, so we all can do something about this. So I'm gonna explore everybody here. They can hear my listening voice, so please get involved in a young person's life. I guarantee you to make it better for them and the city of Saginaw. Other than that, I really don't have any other comments. I just hope everybody get involved in the city of Saginaw, making this a better place. And thanks for letting me share that.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just want to say a shout out to all of the public speakers who spoke, and manager, if you can get us some information from the young lady with the COVID, if you can send us something, I'd appreciate it. Same thing with Mr. Merwick, Pastor Merle. Saginaw is poised for a comeback, and I really need everybody to understand that. We are poised for a comeback. What I mean is this: the 9 of us are going to help make it come back. But we can only help if the citizens begin to love on each other and stop the hatred. We just got to stop it. So what we're doing, along with what I'm doing, along with the Sheriff's Department, county commissioners, some local businesses, we are having a giveaway for families, needy families for Christmas. We have started securing gifts, and our goal is 500 to 1,000 families. We now have over 400 families, 400 people right now. So our goal is not unrealistic. If you go on my Facebook page, you will see. Currently, right now, we got everything. We got household stuff. We got coats. We got gloves. We got toys. And so everyone in the sound of my voice that wants to give, that can give, I need you to either go on my Facebook page or stop by Charlie's Platinum, which is the phone company on Bay and State. And we're going to do it, and it's called Santa's Workshop. We're going to start, and we're going to make sure that people that want Christmas will have Christmas. Okay? So I'm really excited about it. I always get excited when I'm in a little venture. I think it keeps me busy. So we're doing that. And the other thing is this. I had a meeting today with Saginaw Transit, and it really hardened me because bus service has been limited. But I need for the citizens to do me a favor as well as themselves. I need you to check on your elders. And if you're going to the store, just ask them if they need something and just check on them. Because very soon, there may not be a bus transportation services for them. Because like everything else, you run out of money. So if we can take a charge on, I know I've got 9 to 20 that I check on, and we do the shopping, and so we want to encourage you to do that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I heard the buzzer. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, we are now at reports from the city manager.
Mr. Manager, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, and I've got a number of items today. We do have 2 presentations, so we have those coming up, but I just wanted to update council on a few issues before we get to those. And first, I would mention that we did trade emails with the sheriff's office today, and for informational purposes, there were a number of executive orders early on that did address, I believe, release of inmates that were non-violent. So I'm sure that the sheriff has already complied with those orders. We do have a really good relationship with the Sheriff Fetterspiel and his undersheriff, and I'm sure most of the other law enforcement agencies in the county do as well. So if you do have any specific questions, I know the sheriff always has an open door. Feel free to contact him from a personal basis, or if council wants more information, I'm sure Mayor Moore would be more than willing to talk to the sheriff as well. And I wanted to also update council on the water billing. As you know, the city submitted a list of all delinquent residential accounts to Saginaw County CAC and the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Saginaw County CAC partnered with Wayne County to perform the necessary data matches for the grant. CAC and MDHS screened the delinquent list to determine which households receive food assistance and are therefore eligible for SB 690 assistance. Households are eligible for payments up to $700 on water and $700 for sewer arrearages accrued between March 1st and October 2nd that are still unpaid. The grant pays for consumption and readiness to serve, but excludes the service line replacement fee. 2,695 City of Saginaw households qualify for some assistance totaling $645,000. As of today, the delinquency for that time period is $802,000. So a large portion of that will be paid with this grant. An aged accounts receivable report shows the total delinquency as of today for residential and all other account types is around $1.9 million. After the grant is applied, our delinquent balance will still be higher than normal at around $1.2 million. CAC should process payment to the city this week. As soon as we receive those funds, we will apply the payments to individual accounts and notify water customers by letter that the payment was made on their account. The city cannot shut off services or pursue collections on these households for 90 days as part of our agreement to opt into the grant program. Any customer that still needs assistance with utility payments should contact 211 for other sources of assistance. In addition, customers that did not receive this assistance should contact the Customer Accounting Division to set up payment plans in anticipation of shutoffs resuming in the near future. Finally, as a reminder, this is grant-based and nothing is guaranteed until we actually receive the funding. We will monitor the program to see if additional funds become available, and we will provide an update when we receive the $645,000 payment. Another item from our last meeting, there was some discussion about the Police Advisory Commission. To date, the city clerk has received 3 applications for the Citizens Police Advisory Commission. The committee is comprised of 9 members, therefore we need 5 members to have a quorum and hold any meetings. I talked with the mayor and mayor pro tem, and we agree that we should not appoint individuals prior to having a quorum because their term will start upon appointment, while they would not be able to meet and conduct any business. So we do have 6 potential openings remaining. If there are questions about that, please contact the clerk's office. If you know people who are interested in applying, contact the clerk's office to see what's available. One of the items I know that is still available is a youth representative from a local high school. So hopefully we have interest from our youth participating in the committee. And we do have several other openings as well. And as a few council members mentioned, we do continue to battle dumping of waste and garbage in the city. If you are a city resident, please utilize our monthly drop-off at the Public Service Building. Residents wishing to report dumping should contact the Code Enforcement Office at 759-1540 or the city at 399-1311 or email inspections@saginaw-mi.com. And I will mention, since it was brought up during the meeting by Councilwoman Scherzer, I did also see the pile at the vacant lot across from the plaza, and that's actually city property. So I immediately contacted our inspections division, and that was actually the result of a citizen who was attempting to clean up under the bridge. So all of that debris he brought from under the bridge in a cleanup effort, he was pretty much doing on his own, and that did get hauled away. So that's actually turns out to be a good example of a citizen helping to clean up the city, and that's what we like to see. And there are a number of organizations that do that. I know all of you are aware, but as we get that information, we'll make sure to let you know when groups have that planned. It might be more limited this year than previous years because of a COVID-19 pandemic, but I'm sure several will still be doing that. Okay, and without delay, we do have Jamie Rivette. She's been working on the city's audit for a number of years, and I believe she's on the meeting. So she does have a presentation to share with council, and we'll see if we can get her connected right now. There she is. Hi, Jamie.
Hello, how are you?
Good. So you can start your presentation.
Okay, thank you so much. Share my screen here. All right, is everybody able to see that? Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much for having me here tonight to present the audit results. We're going to cover the highlights from the financial statement audit as well as from the single audit. So the first side that I have is really talking about the audit opinion, and that can only be issued by an independent licensed CPA firm, and management really is the one that's responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, as well as the design, implementation, and maintenance of the internal controls. And then as your auditors, our responsibility is my team and I come in and we audit that information presented, and then we express opinions on those financial statements. And the city was issued an unmodified opinion, which really is the highest level of assurance. It's the best opinion that you can get, and it means there are no material modifications that need to be made. In addition, I also wanted to mention that the city did receive an award of financial reporting excellence from the Government Finance Officers Association for their June 30th, 2019 comprehensive annual financial report. So I just wanted to mention that takes a great deal of work and effort, and that is really a huge accomplishment. So now to look at some of the numbers. We have this slide is showing your general fund revenue and other financing sources for the year ended June 30th, 2020 was $34.2 million. And the income tax, so the bottom section there you can see makes up 40% of your total general fund revenue, or about $13.8 million. And then the gray piece there is your intergovernmental revenue. That is made up of 23% of the total, and that is the majority of that is your state shared revenue, which is approximately $7.8 million. Now we've been watching the charting your revenue over the past few years, and we'll focus on the change from 2019 to 2020. And we can see we did have a decrease this year of about 9% or $3.4 million. And during our audit procedures, we're always looking at analytics and, expectations. So a couple of these things were planned and a couple of them weren't. So I really narrowed it down to the four biggest areas, the four biggest changes. The first one being loan proceeds. So last year, the city had purchased a fire truck and you received loan proceeds for that. Whereas in the current year, the city had purchased a couple of police cars. So there was a significant difference in the amount of money in loan proceeds. Also, we had a decrease in our other revenue this year, and that was related to the Maximus cost allocation plan. Last year, if you recall, that actually was a large increase. And moving forward, this is really going to level out. And it was due to some variances a couple years ago with the GASB 68 calculation. And then the two other areas I wanted to mention was a decrease in the city income tax and the property taxes compared to last year. The city income tax went down about 2%, and the property taxes decreased about $565,000. That was related to the decrease in the taxable values. And the last item is the state grants. So this year we did see a decrease of about $515,000 in the state grants, and that was due to the pandemic in the state of Michigan. With the last payment that the city receives actually came from COVID relief funds, and the ruling on that with the federal government was that those dollars needed to be recognized in the next fiscal year. So that revenue is going to show up in your next fiscal year. Now, my next graph I have pie chart here is for the expenditures and transfers out, which is about $35.5 million. And you can see too on the bottom here, our public safety is made up of about 58% of that total. And to break it down a little further, that is fire of about $8.5 million of the total, with police having about $12.6 million of the total. And then we had general government about 13%. That's the top section there of that blue piece. And that's really a laundry list of items. But the biggest item there is really your retiree health insurance contributions of about $2.1 million. And again, we're talking about the increase here that we saw in expenditures compared to last year. And really it was about $1.4 million or 3.8% increase compared to last year. And that was related to transfers out from the general fund. And those were all budgeted for. And most of the increase was related to grant projects, is where the majority of the work was. So that was all budgeted for and planned for. Here we have a graph where we are charting the revenue and expenditures on the same chart here. And you can see from 2014 to 2019, we actually had revenues exceeding our expenditures. And then this year, it was the opposite. So our expenditures actually exceeded our revenue. Those were budgeted for, and that was approved at city council meetings of the budget, where we are anticipating a decrease and dipping into our fund balance this year. And the budgeted fund balance decrease was about $2.4 million. The actual was a little over $1.2 million. Now, kind of switching gears from our general fund and looking at our proprietary funds, I have your water and sewer fund listed here, and this is looking at the net position. So it makes up, you have your assets at the top and then the liabilities on the bottom section. Just a couple things to point out here is we do have, the majority of your assets are wrapped up in the non-current assets, which are your capital assets. So, the sewer lines and the water lines. And then moving on down the page, the couple of, phrases that everybody hates to hear is the net pension liability and the net OPEB liability. So this is the sewer and water portions of those liabilities. So you can see for net pension liability, sewer is about $31.4 million, and then water is $26.1 million. And then the net OPEB liability is right below that. So at the end of the fiscal year, we did have the sewer fund had total net position of $9.9 million, and water coming in at about $30.2 million. In addition to auditing the financial statements, part of our standards require us to gain an understanding of the city's internal controls. So we do walk through your key transaction cycles from start to finish, and we did not identify any items that we would have to report as material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. And we had just one item for management's consideration, which is an opportunity for improving compliance. And that was just one fund did have a budget overage in the expenditures in excess of the budget. But again, that was just an item we call a management comment. So it was not material or significant to the financial statements. So just like as I reported last year, we have to audit your federal programs too if the city does receive and spend more than $750,000 in federal awards, which you guys obviously do. And we audited your community development block grant, which actually covered about 74% of your total federal expenditures. So we definitely, got a good handle on your federal programs and the internal controls related to that. And again, we did not have any findings that we needed to report, and there were no findings that were reported last year as well. And then my last slide that I have are just some, future challenges that are pretty common amongst Michigan municipalities. Seeing an increase in retirement costs. So those are the legacy costs for your current and previous employees. And, those contributions did increase this year compared to last year. And currently there is no specific revenue stream for the city for the buildings, equipment, and the city's infrastructure that continues to age. And we have to find ways to support the necessary upgrades and repairs that they require. And then the last two items there is the unfunded OPEB obligation and the unfunded pension obligations. And with that, that concludes my presentation. And I do just want to quickly thank Tim, Yolanda, Lori, and their teams for all their help in preparation for the audit. It really is a team effort with a lot of communication going back and forth. And I do appreciate all their hard work. Are there any questions that I could answer for you?
Hey, Jamie, Councilman Ostash here. And on slide, I've got slide 7 where you talked about the general fund, where now our expenditures are rising and the revenues are crossing. That caught my eye. And do you see that changing for next year for us?
Well, I haven't looked at your budget as to what has been adopted. Okay. I can't really speak to the expenditures of what the city has planned. I'm not sure, Tim, if you want to touch on that at all.
Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering on the blue line of our revenues and what was really kind of causing that that decline. So, was it a couple of the things she talked about already?
So if you recall, we did a number of projects this year, and our fund balance was over $10 million. So we brought those projects to council and we used fund balance rather than financing. And I can think of 3 very specific ones off the top of my head. Okay. The demolition for the Jacobson's ramp, I think, was $800,000 or $900,000. That was fund balance. The Tuscola alleyway project improvements was fund balance. The charging station, which I don't think we've actually started to install yet, but that purchase was fund balance. So we did plan to use fund balance for those capital projects, as Jamie mentioned in her report, and we don't have a revenue stream for those kind of projects, capital and building projects. So we were using fund balance because we were well over $10 million. And even with what we have now, a little over $9 million, I think we're still at probably 27% of our fund balance is about 27% of our expenditures, and our goal is to be at 15%. So we're still far above on our fund balance. So that dip was expected. It was, although I will say that we do have hopefully deferred payment of state shared revenue. The state decreased our state shared revenue by $9 million or $900,000, I think, for the fourth quarter. If we had that, our fund balance would have only gone down by, I think, about $300,000 out of a planned 2.4 million. So I think if we were in a normal fiscal year without COVID-19, we probably would have been pretty close to being even, because we did see some of that income tax go down a little bit as well. And we are seeing that for the current fiscal year too. In October, we looked at that and we did see a decrease in withholding, and hopefully that's something that can be made up throughout the rest of the fiscal year, or through some state assistance. And this goes beyond your question a little bit, Bill, but I did get a question from Council Member Sylvia, and it was regarding some of the OPEB costs and pension liabilities and what we're doing. If you all remember, a few years ago we did, it's probably been more than a few now, but we did make an agreement with our retirees, and that reduced our OPEB costs by about $3 million a year. That was probably 5 or 6 years ago, but if we hadn't done that, we would be in I think in very dire situation. But the second you set that back at that new amount, it immediately starts to go up again because there are always annual increases. So we're always going to have to watch that. She mentioned the pension cost too, and that question was also forwarded. Remember, we do have a surplus account, and I think we put a few $1 million into that. I think it's about $3 million, so that doesn't go into our valuation. But that's an issue too, and I think Mayor Moore is aware that I and the several other city managers and mayors have been working with the MML because we believe that the state has a responsibility to help address that issue as well, particularly in urban core cities where we've seen such a huge decrease in population. We had a lot more people in the city when those expenses were incurred, and now all those people have left and moved to other areas, and we are stuck with the bill in the long run. So we're always working on those issues, and maybe a longer answer than you wanted, but hopefully I addressed some other questions.
No, you did. You touched on a lot of different things, and especially for folks watching, that was you kind of gave a good explanation of why where we're at, and especially with the current environment that we're in. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any more questions?
I do have a question. This is Member Copeland. My question would be, is there anyone within or on this call that if I were interested in sitting down to go more in depth on the expenditures of our budget, and then also this could be either for our city manager, or I want to say thank you, Miss Rivette or Mrs. Rivette, for the presentation. Is it generally normal for a municipality, their public safety, to be over 50% of their budget being for public safety?
Yes, yep, that is real common to have that in the general fund. Some municipalities have a separate fund set up for their police and or fire. So it's hard to, specifically compare one municipality to another unless you know for sure if that's included in their general fund or not. But that is very common.
I would, years ago, what we usually would see with local units is that actually around 60% of the general fund budget is public safety, and part of that's goes back to the unfunded liabilities as well, just because public safety is a huge portion of the general fund in number of employees. Throughout the past, especially our police and fire department used to be much larger, so they make up a larger percentage of the general fund cost for pension and OPEB liabilities, just by a function of that being the largest part of the general fund. And yeah, we can definitely, if council members would want to sometime sit down with our Office of Management and Budget, Ms. Jones, or our controller, we can do that. Typically, the auditor just comes in and works with the staff, and then that comes back next year. But we have people that can do that for you.
So much, Manager Morales.
Yeah, I would be interested in that with Mr. Copeland as well. Thanks.
Okay, do we have any more questions of Miss Jamie? Ms. Jamie, I'd like to thank you for the presentation. Excellent job as always. Always. So, and I'd also like to say kudos to our finance department for their outstanding work that they do and they continue to do for us. And I know that our city manager has his hands in that too. So kudos to you as well, Mr. Morales, for the excellent job that you guys are all doing.
Aaron, and I would really Jamie and her team this year because it's always difficult to pull all that information together, but this year, especially in the working conditions, it was more challenging than usual. And I think they probably got done at the same time they usually do, if not sooner than they usually do. So they did a really good job in the finance department. And Lori Brown, the finance director, and her team, and the controller's office, and Yolanda Jones, and the OMB, and Jeff Klopsick, and the technical services do a lot of downloads, and the clerk's office provides a lot of information. So there's a lot of city departments involved in providing information to our auditors so that they can do our jobs, including, I know they probably interviewed you, Madam Mayor, regarding the city financials. So thank you, Jamie, and appreciate the work that you all did again this year.
Thank you. Mr. Manager.
Our next presentation is our economic development team from Saginaw Future. And I mentioned before that part of our redevelopment ready community designation requires an update, but I think we always are interested in hearing from Joanne Crary and Tom Miller and Cassie Miller, our team, that they do a lot of great work for us. So with that, looks like Tom is ready to talk, or I don't know whether Joanne or Tom is. Joanne is going to be the lead speaker. So Joanne, welcome to our council meeting.
Well, thank you so much, Tim, and good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I have to say that it's really exciting and hopeful to hear all of you tonight, and especially our new council members. I just want to thank everyone for your excellent service for our city. So we're very pleased to be able to provide an update on economic development activities in the city of Saginaw. And while it's certainly been a very challenging and difficult year, our partnership with the city is stronger than ever, and we want to really thank Tim Morales and Mayor Brenda Moore for their leadership. So just a quick background for council members, if we can move to that first slide. Thank you, Cassie. So Saginaw Future was formed in 1992, so almost 30 years ago, by leaders of the city of Saginaw, the county of Saginaw, and Saginaw County Chamber of Commerce to be a nonprofit organization. And our mission was to diversify the economy and have a single vision for economic development so that we would all work together. And it has worked, and our relationship is better than ever. Today, our mission is to advance economic growth, and we work very hard to support the retention and expansion of businesses. We attract businesses to the community and support the creation of business startups. Next slide. So if you take a look at our board, I've got highlighted our mayor, Brenda Moore, and Tim Morales, our city manager, but our board has designated seats. So we are made up of business, labor, education, and government. And it's really important because these are the top leaders in their organization, and that way we get the clear direction on what is happening in the economy and what is important to those communities and different sectors. Next slide. So one of the things that we do is we keep a very close eye on employment data. And as you can see, the unemployment rate in the city of Saginaw had been trending lower. It was 7.6% in March. We were hearing at that time that businesses were having a really tough time finding talent. And then when COVID hit, you can see the city's rate spiked to over 38%. So as I was listening to the speaker earlier about, and some of the council members about, you know, helping our young people have jobs, that is so important. But when you have 38% of your total population of working age people that are unemployed, it's youth and it's adults and it's everyone that we need to help. So you know that it not just by the virus itself, but the loss of jobs was huge. Now the most recent data that we have, we just got October rates for the whole county at 5.2%. The most recent we have for the city is 14.8% in September. And remember, that's when it was warm out and the businesses were pretty much able to open except for bowling alleys and a few of the swimming pools and things like that. But now that the virus has spiked again and some businesses have had to be very limited, like restaurants with only takeout, we think that that number is back up. So while that's not good, that we are working very hard, and you'll hear from Tom Miller about some of the things that we've done in reaction or as a shift to help those businesses that have been struggling. We're kind of the frontline organization that works with the state and federal government when they're bringing money in for businesses. And then Cassie's going to talk about a lot of projects that have continued to happen even with COVID. So I'm going to turn it over to the team. Cassie, are you up or Tom?
Yep, so just quick before Tom takes over, I just wanted to highlight a couple of the boards that we either administer or sit on in the city of Saginaw. Lots of you new council members are hopefully going to get to know us very well because we really have integrated into the city. You can see this list here. We also are regularly involved in special projects. Sorry, I clicked to switch and it didn't switch. We meet with the city manager on a monthly basis to go over different projects, get his advice, and buy on different things as we're working on them. Some of the projects that Tim mentioned earlier about the electric vehicle chargers, the redevelopment ready certification. I think he mentioned the school alleyway. Especially Tom and I have been really involved in helping to get funding for that. From different elements within the city, writing grants, things like that. Then Tom?
I'm up. So, and we had a longer presentation. We tried to compress it down. A lot to cover here. And if you do have questions about these programs specifically, you can get my contact information, my cell phone number from from the city, and I'll be happy to talk with you about these programs. I'd just like to add, Joanne thanked the manager and the mayor. We work really closely with, for instance, Janet Santos in the clerk's office when we have incentives and process paperwork that needs to go through her office. John Stemple, Phil Carwatt, Lori Brown, Yolanda Jones, Jeff Klopsick. We all have, I think, their cell phone numbers, text frequently, work through issues, and they've been really excellent to work with. I'm going to highlight a couple of programs that we've worked on over the last 9 months. And as Joanne said, most of these programs came through the state, and the state looks to the local economic development agency to administer these programs. So the first round of funding, this was the small business relief program. You can kind of see there, I gave you a little more narrative detail. But this was back in March, April when the first shutdown occurred, and the state awarded us sort of a smaller amount of money, $200,000 for some quick stopgap grants, and we tried to space these out to a number of businesses. You can see there we awarded 125 businesses grants, which were able to retain 871 jobs. Next slide, Cassie. So as some of our corporate partners recognized our leadership in terms of administering these programs, one being Consumers Energy, who stepped up and contributed some funds to help local businesses. They provided $200,000 to Saginaw Future. One of their focuses was to help women and minority-owned businesses that were impacted by COVID, and you can see there that we were able to distribute another 145 grants to local businesses, 53% being women-owned and 27% being minority-owned businesses. Next slide. Another great partnership, Dow Chemical. They realized that, hey, listen, the nonprofit organizations in our community are also having to respond to to the crisis, to the shutdown, to folks in need. And so they asked Saginaw Future to help administer, and we were able to distribute $80,000 in grants to 9 different frontline nonprofit organizations that assist folks with COVID issues. Next slide. So this was the big program, the largest program. This was we got $3.5 million to assist for-profits and nonprofits, and we actually administered the program for Bay County and Saginaw County. This was the Michigan Small Business Restart Program. Over 500 grants in Saginaw and Bay counties, and then next slide, Cassie, I broke out I think information specifically on City of Saginaw businesses. I also want to point out that part of the emphasis here for this program was to assist minority, women-owned, and veteran-owned business. And I believe the state had a target goal of about 20%. I can't remember if it was 20 or 30%. We blew that out of the water. If you look there, there's a lot of numbers, but I believe the presentation was sent so that you can study these numbers more specifically. But over 70% of the grant dollars that Saginaw Future administered went to the targeted population, that being women, minority, and veteran-owned businesses, and over 80% of the grant funds specifically addressed issues related to those populations. And when we set this grant up, we had the option to look at how do we want to weight the scoring of this, and we chose to use a pretty aggressive scoring mechanism to give bonus points to women, minority, and veteran-owned businesses to make sure that they were at the top of the list to receive funds first before anyone else. You can see there we helped administer 261 grants for over $1 million. So I think we, in Saginaw County, if my memory serves, we handed about $2 million out. Over half of the funds that we committed through this program were in the city of Saginaw, and that helped to retain 952 jobs and create 416. I just want to add some anecdotal sort of context to these grants. I spoke with, I was sort of the point person for most of these programs, although all of us worked really hard. When I say I was the point person, they put my phone number on the website. So I received most of the phone calls. I talked to over 600 folks during this process, small business owners. A lot of tears, both sadness and joy. Folks that were on the verge of getting evicted or losing their lease. I talked to one lady who had never been on assistance before and had to apply for food stamps and other assistance. That was so thankful. A vast majority of these folks were so thankful to receive these funds to help save their businesses. Some in some cases that were over 50 years old. So it was a really rewarding experience. Cassie, next slide. This one is a new program. So if you know business owners in the city of Saginaw, you'll want to let them know about this. We get a lot of phone calls, I'm sure you do, about, are there other things available? This one is due the 15th, so it's very timely. They need to, the application will be open, but it will also be first come, first serve. So you want to make sure that you get your application in as soon as possible. The state has allocated $600,000 to our Region 5. You can see there, that's Clare, Isabella, Gladwin, Midland, Saginaw, and Aranet counties. And I put some of the criteria there. We have additional information, specifically related to the application process. And we get a lot of phone calls from folks asking us for, advice and assistance on how to complete those applications. So, please, give them my phone number and I'll be happy to walk them through, some of the ins and outs of the program. Cassie, next slide. And that is, yep, this is Cassie's group of slides.
This is me. My camera just went out. Hopefully I'm working okay and you can all hear me. I will keep an eye on it. So I'm going to go through a few projects that are city specific that we have been working on this year or that were announced. Some of them may not be happening until next year, but it's all good news. So along with what Tom has been saying, there has been a lot of positive things happening in 2020. So Lake State Railway is making a major investment in its Huron subdivision. The $16 million project will relay rail and replace old switches along the Mackinac subline, which runs from Linwood north to Gaylord. Lake State will also make upgrades to their locomotive workshop headquarters in the city of Saginaw. The company received a $7.8 million federal grant through the U.S. Department of Transportation. They operate hundreds of miles of tracks stretching from Saginaw to Gaylord and Alpena and down to Plymouth. These lines also run through Bay City, Midland, and Flint. So this company is obviously very important to our businesses and our economy here in Saginaw. Youth Development Corporation is a new Saginaw nonprofit which teaches skilled trades to at-risk youth. They received one of 67 U.S. Department of Labor grants in support of their Youth Build program. Youth Development Corporation's grant is just under $1.5 million. They are an international nonprofit focusing on providing education and work opportunities to low-income youth, helping to rebuild communities and fight poverty. In the spirit of that mission, Youth Development Corporation aims to help Saginaw residents age 16 to 24 who have dropped out of high school by helping them finish their GED and guiding them through skilled trades programs. They plan to train 90 students in their program with a guarantee of full-time employment, provided that they fulfill all the requirements of the program over the next 2 years. So one of the issues brought up earlier was training and helping our youth find jobs. This is one way that we have been working on that this past year. Healthcare and Mary Freebed are expanding scope of their existing 50-50 joint venture. In addition to the current 41-bed inpatient rehabilitation unit, 4 more areas will be included in the partnership. The expanded Mary Freebed at Covenant Joint Ventures will now include inpatient rehabilitation, outpatient rehabilitation, orthotics and prosthetics, rehabilitation physician services, and Covenant Center for Autism. The project is a $40.7 million investment, and when fully operational in the second or third quarter of 2021, the new rehabilitation hospital will bring 25 to 30 additional jobs to the city of Saginaw. I'm sure you've all noticed this on your drive around town if you made it out at all. Sheen Development's most recent development is this new 3-story mixed-use building, which is under construction in downtown Saginaw. This is Washington Avenue, right across from the SBRC Marketplace. The completed development will be home to first-floor commercial tenant, the State Bank, and will also include 4 well-planned residential apartments on the upper 2 floors. The project will result in an investment of $1.25 million and the creation of 8 new jobs. Saginaw Public School District on November 3rd, 2020, voters in Saginaw Public School District were asked to consider a $99.5 million bond proposal to address many goals of the district. This bond passed, which I know a lot of you were in favor for, and this will result in the replacement and or updating of aging facilities and infrastructure. This will help them stabilize enrollment, create modern learning environments to support updated curricular and extracurricular programming, provide equitable spaces and programming for our students, and increase student achievement. The results of this improvement will have a tremendous effect on the future of Saginaw. And thank you for all who voted yes in our future children. The Urban Tennis Foundation is the group behind the renovations planned for the existing Garber tennis courts. They're nearly at their fundraising goal of $2.2 million and plan to begin development in spring of 2021. The development will include 6 state-of-the-art tennis courts and 6 pickleball courts. It will include a clubhouse building with bathrooms and a flex space and a staff person. It is slated to be completed in the fall of 2021. They're still accepting donations, so if you're looking to help out something in your community this holiday season, please feel free to go to the PayPal that you see below or mail your donation. They do have an anonymous donor who is matching donations up to the end of the year, up to $500,000. As we mentioned, we're very on a lot of the different things going on that we've been involved with is in the planning and zoning department, along with Bob Goleen, who has been an amazing partner for us. Many of you council members are aware that a few different ordinances regulating marijuana establishments were adopted just a couple of months ago. We have had a couple of projects come through that I'll talk about a little bit on the next slide, but I just wanted you, those of you that are new, to know that we are working very hard. This has actually been on the city's mind for quite a long time. There was a committee behind organizing the ordinance. One of the big differences, similarities, I guess, between this ordinance and some of others is the setbacks from sensitive uses. You can see them listed on here. One that is a little bit more unique, but was very important to city staff and many of the citizens in the city, was the setback from marijuana establishment to marijuana establishment. So from one business to another, there has to be a 500-foot setback. So we will not have areas in the city that are dotted with multiple marijuana establishments. It will be more spread out. And we can see that through the applications that we have gotten so far. These three were brought before us and to the Planning Commission in November. We have 3 more coming to the December meeting. The developers are being very respectful because there is such high competition. They are being required to follow the letter of the law for the city. They're upgrading buildings, they're making them beautiful. They're needing to follow every safety guideline, every lighting plan. And many of these buildings that they are picking are currently vacant. So we are going to be putting new businesses in the city of Saginaw, new investment in our buildings that are vacant, and bringing more money into the tax roll. I just want to say thank you. I said thank you to Bob Goleen, Amy Lusk. I work with you all the time. Thank you. City manager, engineering department is behind a lot of these projects as well. We couldn't do it without them. Louis Taylor, Beth London, Mike Genome, and Travis Hare. Thank you. And thanks for having us today.
Thanks,
Hope you
Cassie.
learned about something you hadn't heard before.
Thanks, Cassie and Tom. Just a couple things I wanted to add. Also, with the Saginaw Public School District, we're involved in helping them acquire properties, especially across the river by in the area south of the current SASA building. And Tom has had meetings with the state government, with EGLE, used to be the Department of Environmental Quality, to acquire grants for the city so that they can address some of the environmental issues on the properties that they will be acquiring. So lots of work yet ahead for that, but we're really excited. And then for the new council members, we will be inviting you to an orientation so that we can have a specific meeting with you guys on what we're doing at Saginaw Future and how we work with the city. We just wanted to give you a flavor for a few of the projects. There are many, many more that we're working on, including developing South Washington Avenue into a medical corridor and some other projects that we can get into more detail with you at that time. So thank you, Tim and Mayor, for the opportunity.
As always, do we have any questions?
I do.
Yes, sir.
For the applications that will be received on December 4th, Tom, will you be the contact person for that process as well?
Interesting. This time around, the state chose to do a statewide application process that's going directly to the state, and they're going to be administering the program. So we're going to be the local contact person, probably, if folks have questions. But we're always more than willing to help answer any questions about any state programs that we do. And the good thing is, if we don't know the answer directly, we're the conduit to the folks at the state that might have the information. My cell phone number is 757-2108. That's rings directly to my cell phone. And I answer it on the weekends, nights. I did a lot of, small businesses don't operate always just 8 to 5. So glad to take phone calls anytime.
And just one more thing, council member, is that the application will go live December 15th. It's first come, first serve. So we are encouraging businesses to apply that day because we think the money is going to run out very quick.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, did you recognize me, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, all right. My question would be, I guess probably to Mr. Miller. Do you have a list, or is there a list available of the recipients for the Michigan Small Business Restart Program?
Yes, we definitely do. We can send you the list. And if you're interested to know, that's all public information and it's listed on their website, but we will certainly send you the direct link that has all the Saginaw County.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Any more questions?
I have a question for the city manager. If he's in regards to the where they're helping persons with utilities, that effort, do they have to sign up for that? How exactly does that work? How does a person become a recipient of help with their utilities through the program that you mentioned?
I can come back to that. Are there any more questions for Saginaw Future so that we can have them sign off?
Yes. When will they be reaching out to us to schedule a meeting?
My same question.
Yes, we'll make that available to all council members, even if you're not new. But we will coordinate with the manager's office. It's probably going to be in January or February when we have the orientation, so that we can get schedules together. But if you have questions or want to talk with us in the meantime, we're always available and happy to do that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Once again, I'd like to thank you, all three of you. For those that don't know, they are a dynamite team and we all work good together. For my new council members, I encourage you to get to know them. I wish I would have told you that when you were running, because you really need to know what our city is all about. Because if you know the context and you know where to go. And these three young individuals, along with Chambers, they're our source. They're our source. So we gotta stay in good with them. So, Madam President, Mr. Vice President, and Ms. Miller, we thank you all so much for coming and sharing your evening with us.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Joanne and Tom and Cassie, and I'll echo what the mayor said. And Tom and Cassie work so many hours for the city. As Tom mentioned, he was working hours and hours on that grant. And I know Joanne is always working, and Joanne knows everybody in Lansing, so she is a huge asset for the city. She knows everybody at the MEDC, all the legislators, everyone in the governor's office, regardless of administration. They all know Joanne, so we're lucky to have her heading up our Economic Development Corporation, and appreciate the work that they all do. So thank you guys, and that's a good presentation. And you can, I think we've got all the questions, so you can sign off if you'd like. And going back to the question that Council Member Lamar Sylvia asked, the program that I mentioned regarding the payment that we're receiving, that was specific based on if people were receiving other aid from the state, you had to qualify for that. So that was something that was run through the state's records through the CAC. That one people did not have to sign up for. We don't have any other funding for people to sign up for, so they'll have to contact other agencies. And I think the best one to call is 211.
Okay.
And they can direct people. In regular times, people can always contact the state of Michigan too if they have issues. So if you can contact 211 and contact the state, and also even for people who may not qualify for any assistance, we encourage them to call the water department, because if someone will set up a payment plan and they're making those payments, then that will keep their water service on too. So as long as people make a commitment to make payments and are making progress towards that, our department will work with people to set that up.
Okay, thank you so very much.
You're welcome. And Mayor, that concludes the management update.
And thank you so much, City Manager, for your update. The agenda has been available at City Hall and on the city webpage and on SGTV, channel 191. Are there any exceptions? Oh, I'm sorry. Right. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda with room for exceptions.
Motions.
Second.
Okay, I need you to say your names in case Ms. Jan don't get it, please. So if you move, say please. So we have Mr. Copeland.
Did you get when I said Copeland move?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay.
And then
Monique Sylvia second.
It's been moved in second. Are there any exceptions? Are there any exceptions? Mr. Flores, you look like you want to say something. Okay.
Is right here.
Okay. Is there any exceptions? Hearing no exceptions, do we have any questions? Hearing no questions, it's been moved and seconded. Are we doing, we need to take a vote? All those in favor? Or are we doing roll call, Ms. Jan?
Just take a vote.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, the ayes have it.
Mayor, we are now at board, commission, and committee reports.
Do we have any reports from any members on council on any boards and commissions that they may be sitting on?
Mayor, I do have one. This is Councilman Ostash.
Yes, sir.
So I've got a report from the Zoning Board of Appeals. We did meet this month and we approved a variance for the gas station at South Michigan. It's over there, used to be a Clark gas station. So they're going to be doing a complete facade restoration and it's going to look very nice when they get done.
And we thank you on planning because we needed that information. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is there any other council member that has a report to do? Okay. Madam Clerk?
We are now at appointment of board and commission members.
I'm asking for a motion to approve the following for boards and commissions.
So moved, Ostash.
Bench.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk.
We are now at ordinance consideration and adoption. We do have one tonight, and it's an ordinance to amend section 118, procedure for application of chapter 118, licensing of marijuana establishments, of title 11 business regulations.
Need a motion to adopt?
Bench moves.
Second, Scherzer.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk.
We are now at miscellaneous business.
Okay, we have miscellaneous business. We need to talk about, no, we need to consider going into closed session, right?
Yes, we do have consideration to enter a closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268, Section H, to consider material, the written opinion of legal counsel, exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal statute.
I need a motion to go into closed session.
Motion, Monique Sylvia.
Balls.
Bench.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You need a roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. See, I was close. It's Jen. Roll call.
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Scherzer.
Yes.
Councilmember Copeland.
Aye.
Councilmember Lamar Sylvia.
Aye.
Councilmember Flores.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Balls.
Yes.
Councilmember Bench.
Yes.
Councilmember Ostash.
Yes.
And Mayor Moore.
Yes.
You have 9 yes, 0 no. Motion is approved for closed
I
session.
need a motion to return back into open session.
So move, Monique Sylvia.
Support. Balls.
And second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay.
Now you need a motion to accept the recommendation of legal counsel?
I was waiting on Mayor Pro Tem Balls.
All right, here I go. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the recommendation from the city attorney.
Monique second.
Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Well, we're still in miscellaneous business.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something I want to bring up. Mayor, I think we should discuss our next meeting and get the council's input on if we want to be virtual again. The new extension from the Michigan Health and Department of Human Services does not, it's only for 12 more days. So we are still going to be within the last, the last health department's orders, which takes us to the end of the year. But I'd like to, maybe we should talk about that tonight.
Okay.
Mayor, the city attorney and I had discussed this issue, and council does have the ability to continue in virtual meetings through the end of the year. But when we aren't under state order, I agree with Councilman Ostash, where if we aren't under the state limited capacity meeting orders, we would prefer that council vote if you would like to be in virtual meetings. And I do think that's appropriate for our next meeting. Quite possibly it could be extended again, but the current extension released today goes through one day before the next meeting. So
right.
I think Councilman Ostash has a good point here.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Tim, for clarifying all that. Because I am in full support of it. COVID-19 has come very close within my own family. And with the numbers that are out there right now, I just think it would be a good idea for, especially for our citizens, they can sign up for public input and it can be virtual for them.
Okay, so are you making a motion?
I can.
Okay.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that City Council of Saginaw be virtual for our next meeting on December 21st at 6:30 p.m.
Support, Flores.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have any discussion? I knew that.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't know if this kind of ties in with that. I hope it does because it's virtual. I would like to see at least prayer included in the virtual meetings. If we cannot do the Pledge of Allegiance, of course, but if we can consider yet continue with prayer before our meeting, virtual meetings.
Our attorney.
Okay, we have a motion on the table, and so the discussion is limited to the motion of whether or not the next meeting should be virtual.
Okay.
If there's a different point to be made, it should be made after the vote.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. So we've got our answer, city manager. And then there was a question on the floor for our attorney, and I hope this computer don't go out. So if it does, I apologize quickly.
Line back up.
Okay, I'm trying to plug it up, so I'm sorry. Ms. Lush, now can you answer her question for us? I mean, is there an answer for it? I'm sorry.
I'm not certain that's a legal question. That seems to be a procedural question for council to determine.
So the question is, do we want to add prayer into the next session, into our next meeting? Guess we need to go with a motion again.
Well, can I make that motion?
Yes, ma'am.
I motion that we include prayer in our virtual meetings until we're back in person.
It's been moved to second.
Who's second?
Williams second.
I haven't
Oh,
heard.
Williams? Oh, thank you.
Williams. Okay, it's been moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we will have prayer in our next session. Need a motion to it. I'm sorry, is there any other miscellaneous? Okay, there's nothing else. Everybody's computer's going crazy in front of me. I'm seeing Bill is Mike, and I mean everybody's going crazy on the screen. So need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Flores.
Open second.
Second.
It's been moved second. Any discussion? Everybody have a good night, because this computer is shot. All right.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, everybody.